for Earth Day. We had a huge amount of people out there. We had some vendors. We had things for the kids. It was phenomenal. And at this moment, we have some recognition that we'd like to do. I'm not sure if there's anybody that's going to say anything before, but if not, wanted just to say thank you for Earth Day events. Before we move on to this, I wanted to give the committee here, the council, an opportunity to maybe say a couple of words, and then we're going to proceed to give out these awards. Is there anybody in the council that would like to say anything in regards to the Earth Day Committee event?
I want to say I really enjoyed it. It was really a really good turnout. You all did a phenomenal job of putting it together. I know I spoke to several of the Earth Day participants, and I already started my composting at the house. I got some really good tips on how to put it together, and I already have that going on. But I really had a great time. You all, it's only going to get better as the years go by. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I would like to congratulate everyone that participated during the Earth Day. It was amazing. I feel that every year it's a great improvement. The library did an amazing job, and I know that we had a lot of help, that everybody was there. Personally, I purchased a lot of things, which I shouldn't, but it was nice to have that opportunity to give to the small business to be able to sell their items. So congratulations, I'm looking forward for next year.
It keeps getting better and better, like my councilwoman just said. I want to thank everybody that contributed to this. I know it takes a lot of long hours and many months prior to get this going. So I thank you very much for your help, guys.
All right, I'm not sure if Commissioner Vincent wants to say something, or else we'll go ahead and move forward.
I was not able to get there. It's my first one. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get there. It was my understanding y'all did a great job, and we very much appreciate your efforts and your time in that. Thank you.
Awesome. So at this time, I'd like to do a little bit of recognition. So I'm going to go ahead and walk up here to the top. I don't have a microphone at this moment, but I'm going to go ahead and hand out and call out a couple of names. I'm going to have our Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioner Gonzalez, up there with me, giving a little goodie as well. Again, we want to thank you for the event and the efforts, and we look forward to next year's. I know it's going to be a lot better next year. So let me go ahead and proceed with this. Thank you very much. At this moment, I'm going to call a couple of names. If you could please come up. Priscilla Rosas, if you'd like to come up. Luis, come on in. Awesome. Congratulations. Awesome. Next up, we have Raul Garcia. If you'd like to come up, Raul. Congratulations, Raul. Here's your certificate on behalf of the City of Los Fresnos for your efforts going along. With that is a little something. Thank you very much. I'm going to take a quick picture, Raul.
Mayor, can I say something about Mr. Raul?
Yeah, go ahead.
He wasn't only helping, he was also part in one of the booths, and he was, with a lot of people approach him. He was talking about the importance of taking care of the water and taking care of everything that, so I really appreciate your help. It was very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Raul. Next up, we have Iris Garcia. If you'd like to come up, please. Iris, on behalf of the City of Los Fresnos, we'd like to hand you this certificate. Thank you for your efforts. hard work pays off, and you guys are definitely doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
So let's take a quick photo here. Awesome. Congratulations. Next up, we have Angie Lugo. If you'd like to come up, please. Lugo, on behalf of the City of Los Fresnos, we'd like to award you the certificate for your outstanding efforts. Thank you. And then a little something for you to remember us by. Yeah, apple pie. Next up, we have Bianca Martinez. If you'd like to come up, please. Bianca, certificate on behalf of the City of Los Fresnos. Thank you for your efforts, along with the goodie. Great job. Come on, let's take a quick photo here. I know, right? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That's it. At this time, I wanted to recognize a few individuals, but I'm going to do that from my desk. That way I can face you guys. I'm going to walk over. So the following names, we want to go ahead and recognize them for their outstanding efforts during the Earth Day event on behalf of the City of Los Fresnos. They're not here today, unfortunately, but we have Bill Lubin. Hope I pronounced that right. We have Carlos Salazar. We have Judy Lubin as well. We have Norma Cruz. Barbara Rodriguez. Jackie, if you'd like to get these, that way we can give them to them. Thank you again to everybody's efforts. It was really a proud moment for the City of Los Fresnos to have this event here. Thank you again. At this moment, we'll move to public hearing to receive comments from the residents concerning an appeal on the Planning and Zoning Commission denial of a request for a conditional use permit to allow a duplex to locate at 211 Canal Street, zoned R1A, Single Family District. The time is now 6:09, and we'll go ahead and open this public hearing. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good
My
afternoon.
name is Sarah Leal, and I am the property owner at 211 Canal Street. As of right now, I have two brothers living in that premises, and I would like to add to the house, making it a duplex for a single family so that my brothers can be independent in their own and pay their own bills and not live together. And I'm asking if the City of Los Fresnos would grant me permission to build, and it will be a one family. And in the blueprint, I went ahead and did the doors that they don't show, like if somebody's driving by, it doesn't look like a duplex, because I want to make it look like a big house, but just separate so they can have their own, they can pay their own bills. And more than anything, one of my brothers has asthma, and my other brother smokes. He smokes outside of the house, but still, the smell lingers in his clothes. And that's one of the reasons that I would like to just add, so that my brothers can live comfortably but separate. And if I could have your all's permission, I would greatly appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else in regards to, that would like to speak in regards to this public hearing? For 211 Canal Street? If not, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:10. I'm sorry, close that part. Moving on to a public hearing to disseminate information concerning the stormwater program. And receive input from the public. It's 6:11. I'll go ahead and open this public hearing.
I guess I'm gonna have to hold it. I'll start, and then we can ask the public if they would like to comment.
Thank you, Mark.
We are regulated by law, municipal separate storm sewer system. It's called MS4. And so it'll be on, it doesn't stay. Now it does, okay. But part of the program is to let people know that you shouldn't put things in the stormwater drain that aren't supposed to be there. So there's education, there's outreach. We use the water bills to put information on there. We mail out once a year with our consumer confidence report. And then we put also on the city website information, and people can go as far as they want to with it and really look about pollution in our stormwater. We have a pamphlet that we have here at the library at several different places. We give people when they hook up water service, and you here, and it's also available for anybody, just to give them information, show them where our stormwater goes. Our stormwater from here, all except the very northern part on the north side of Henderson Road, that goes to Arroyo, Colorado. The rest of the city ends up in the Brownsville Ship Channel. So having our discharge and stormwater safe is very, very important. Don't want it to affect fishing, anything like that. So we have a street sweeper that we use about once a quarter to sweep up the dirt so that the dirt doesn't go into the storm drain when it rains. We try to keep people from cutting grass, and they'll throw the grass on the street and leave it. It should be thrown back into the yard and not, because all of that ends up in the drains and then could get clogged. On all of our inlets, we've got signage notifying people that it, don't put hazardous materials in there. Anyway, if you go to the next page on 14 in your handout, you'll see a couple of storm drains, and you can see the no dumping drains to waterways, and at our Resaca crossings, we have no dumping, protect our watershed and Resacas. So we have the same problem there. People just don't think and throw stuff that they shouldn't. On page 14, you can see there where somebody's got something pouring down the drain. Shouldn't do that. Also, they have a pipe running into the street, discharging something that shouldn't be discharged. So kind of gives you an information of what not to do. And page 16, you can see some polluted areas that, not here, it's other areas that we just used to show that, a little bit of accumulation over a period of time can be very harmful. So that's really the essence of it and the information we needed to share. So public has questions, or if y'all have questions.
Mark, is that something that we have issues with here? Is that something that we encounter quite often in our neighborhoods, or is there any particular area of the town that we're seeing that happen more often?
Not huge where you see someone running a pipe and down there, but we do have a lot of grass and clippings. I've seen people take a blower and blow it down the drain. They think they're doing okay. They're not doing it. I don't think they're doing it maliciously. It's just education to realize that you put more grass and more grass and more grass, and next time it rains, our water doesn't go anywhere, and places could get flood. But then the effects of that downstream when it does wash could be bad with chemicals. So
Thank you.
don't have a big problem, but some of those little things we could do better at.
I know
Hey, Mark, do we have signs here in town. I only seen one over by 8th Street, by the railroad track. There's one there, it says Arroyo Colorado and has a redfish on there. Says everything goes to the bay. But I haven't seen any other ones in town. Is that something that we're gonna do, or is it something that somebody else did or something?
We do it, but it's along the Resaca's and areas that are drains. You'll see them like on page 15. You'll see those types of signs. I don't know, where did you say you saw it?
Yeah, it's there on right on 8th Street, right passing the tracks. It's a
Okay.
ditch.
That's
It's a-
because all of the downtown, when I say downtown, from the library area, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, 1st Street, all their drains underground. And there at Olmo and 8th Street, it comes into an open ditch. And so because you can add in the open ditch, that's why the sign's there, showing that don't put anything bad in that. We do them by the Resaca crossings as well. And then you'll see these on the drains all over town.
Do you think this is, I know you mentioned there's pamphlets and stuff at the library. Do you think this is something we could maybe get in a partnership with the school to educate at the elementary level? Discussing, I guess, through, I would say elementary, to start young?
Doesn't this college do that role?
Yes.
Okay.
The stormwater task force.
We're part of a stormwater task force that UTRGV and not every city, but a lot of the cities are involved in. And so they'll use their university students to go to the classes and give education talk. And so they already do that. I don't know what age groups they do, but they already do that here in our school.
Thank you.
That's a good idea, because then they take it home to mom and dad, and then they
Yeah.
practice that, and it just becomes, the message gets spread out a lot quicker, so. Good idea, Commissioner Gonzalez. At this point, if there's nobody here in the public to discuss this particular public hearing, we'll go ahead and move forward at 6:19 to close this public hearing. Moving on to the consent agenda items. There's a total of 10, and I'll go ahead and read it, so if there's any that y'all want to set aside. Consent agenda, all matters listed are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted on by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless requested by any member of the city council. The items may subsequently be removed from the consent agenda to be considered separately. So at this moment, if there's any items that anybody would like to set aside, now's the time. And if not, if there's a motion to be made,
Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept item 1 through 10 of the consent agenda as stated.
okay, motion has been made by
I'll
Commissioner
second.
Macias and Commissioner Vincent has seconded that. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Moving on to action item number 1, consideration and action to appeal the Planning and Zoning Commission's denial of a request for conditional use permit to allow a duplex to locate at 211 Canal Street, Zone R1A, Single Family District. Mark, on this particular action item, is this that yellow house that's there on that corner? That's on the corner by Canal Street? And that road that takes you to Julia's
I believe it is.
Restaurant?
It's Canal and
Okay, Brazil.
Brazil,
Okay,
yes.
that house was recently purchased. I know it was sold and it was purchased by somebody, and they've been doing a lot of improvements over the last couple of months. It was a single-family house. It looks like they're trying to close a garage there, and I know because I see it every single day. It's a single-family house. It's they're trying to close a garage. They've done a lot of improvements. They've done a new roof. But there's not a single duplex there. I think the closest was that one by the railroad tracks, but they had to separate it, and they didn't make it a duplex area. I just wanted to make sure that that was a particular house, because I see it pretty much every day, and I know it's barely been acquired within the last couple of years. It was purchased and remodeled maybe not too long ago. So that's what I know about the property. I'm a very firm believer in that, we do have a section of town that is separated for duplex, and that's the area by Dairy Queen, that is free land for duplexes. And the area where this house is located, it's a single-family resident neighborhood. Every single home in there is a single-family home. And if we do for one, we're gonna have to do for more, and for more, and for more. And so we have to consider that we have to stick within these zoning areas, or else it's gonna get out of control. So that's something that I'm very concerned about, and I don't wanna mix a single family with duplex. It can cause trouble, problems, police calls, parking issues. And so when it comes to my consideration, I'm not too excited about this particular motion, but, any thoughts from the council? Anything that you guys would like to share?
I agree with you, Mayor, on that. It's a residential area and it should stay as a residential area.
Any comments are welcome by the rest of the council. If not, if there's a motion to be made. I'll go ahead and motion that we do not approve this to be a duplex.
I'll go ahead and second it, Mayor.
Okay, motion has been made by myself, Mayor Flores, and seconded by Commissioner Macias. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. Aye. And all those who oppose, do the same. Okay, so motion carries. Moving on to action item number 2, consideration and action to approve a memorandum of agreement between the City of Los Fresnos and the Lower Rio Grande Valley TPDES Stormwater Task Force Partnership Incorporated for preparation of the Regional Texas Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, Stormwater Permit Application, and Stormwater Program Plan for the Lower Rio Grande Valley TPDES Stormwater Task Force. Mark, long one there.
So a lot of words, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
This is what I was referring to in the public hearing. Every 5 years, the permit comes up for renewal. The task force does this for us as part of their work. And we're part of a group of cities that do it together. So that's why the cost is less, even though 8,000, you might think it's not less. It is if you had to do it on your own. So it's the same price as what it was 5 years ago when we did the renewal last time. So that's our recommendation.
Okay, any questions or comments from the council?
What other cities are involved with this?
Should have wrote that down. Raul? Is he still here? Huh? I can't remember.
Are the
Probably 10 or 12. No, some of the bigger cities too.
Mark, if we don't participate in this program, do we still have to pay the membership, or how does that work? Is it something that's
This isn't
regulated?
a
or what?
membership. This is to apply through the state for the stormwater permit from the state. It's to put all of the documents together to do the application to renew the permit. So
And does that help with the grants or paperwork that
yeah,
we may file in the
they've
future?
we haven't gotten any, but they do a lot of grant work. More of the work that they do is regional than specific for any particular city. They do a lot of regional, especially drainage, and get grants that look at the big picture, not any particular region. So yes, they do get grants, but it's not something that like is going to fix a ditch for us somewhere. That makes sense?
And the cost for that's 8,000?
For the renewal to get the permit.
And it's been the same, right? It has not
Yeah.
increased, and we've done it before in the past.
Yeah, probably 15 years ago, we did it through engineering firm, and it was over twice that much. It's just they can do it in volume with all the cities together.
So this is something that's required that we have, something like an EPA regulation that we need
Correct.
to have.
Yes, sir.
I don't see an issue with that. Any of the commissioners would like to make any comments or ask any questions? And if not, if there's a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a memorandum of agreement between the City of Los Fresnos and the Lower Rio Grande Valley TPDS Stormwater Task Force Partnership.
Motion
I'll
has been made
second.
and motion has been seconded. Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez and seconded by Commissioner Fernandez. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Consideration and action to approve and authorize the publication of the required notice of public hearing on the creation of Reinvestment Zone Number 2, City of Los Fresnos, Texas, pursuant to Chapter 311, Texas Tax Code. Mark, any information you'd like to share on this particular action item?
Just to refresh your memory, this was presented quite a few months ago. It's on the north side of Highway 100 between FM 803 and Las Palmas Housing Subdivision on the north side. And one of the things that was questioned was, can there be a benefit? Well, housing in general is a benefit to the city. And development of land is a benefit to the city. Property taxes, more residents need to shop more at our stores, our restaurants, so that is a benefit. But y'all asked about some specific benefits, and so the owner and Mr. Calderon went back and looked at some things, and one of the things that we put on the list was expansion of Whipple Road from 1575 to the development, which is to the west. That would have to be developed. The benefit would be we don't have to find the money like we're working on this section of Whipple Road now. We have to wait for TxDOT. With that in the plan, we wouldn't have to do that. It benefits us, it benefits the county, also benefits Indian Lake. And Indian Lake's agreed to put some funds in for that payment from their TERS. The other one is, as we grow, we need to increase the capacity of our sewer plant. So there's some funds in there that would be directly tied to that we could also go out for grants to do that, and I suggest we do that. But if we don't get grants, well, then there's a funding mechanism for us to be able to increase the capacity of our sewer plant. And the third one is a commercial development. On the front end, there was, how deep was it before? 150 feet, 250 feet?
From Highway 100 in was
Original.
about 150 feet.
Yeah.
It was 4 lots, standard lots and 2 larger lots.
So there was some commercial development, of course, set aside for 100, but we asked for a major retailer, maybe a grocery retailer, a plot size big enough for that. And so in this plan, it also sets aside for that. The good piece of that is that we would have a ready place for that. It would be good for the development, because what better place than have some commercial, large commercial retail there. So I'll turn it on to Bill and let him kind of go over a few things, and y'all can ask questions at the end. But they've made some things to where it's very
Attractive?
attractive for us to be a
Mr.
partner
Calderon,
in
welcome.
this.
Good afternoon. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. It's good to be back. Pleasure to see everybody again. Before I go further, Measures Garza Senior and Garza Junior are the developers for this property. So if you have specifics that you want to talk to them about, I would encourage you to direct questions to them. But I'll be very brief. When we came to you last, we talked about the development generally, and we shared with council that the larger part of it was in Los Fresnos with a piece in Indian Lake, and that we were asking both jurisdictions to create a tax increment reinvestment zone to help cover the infrastructure and capital costs associated with the project, because it was a fairly big number. Without any borrowing costs, we were at a little over $23 million at that time, with about 3.5 roughly in Indian Lake and the rest in Los Fresnos. Those numbers were preliminary. The engineer, Julio Cerda, and his team finalized those numbers, took some time to make sure that we had everything right. And then I came back and began discussions both with Indian Lake and Los Fresnos staff to talk about how we could carve this up and make it work. We also met with County Commissioner Garza, and he was very supportive of the use of this tool. He's very familiar with it. He's got a couple of them in his county commissioner precinct. He and I had actually worked together on the very first Cameron County TERS for a development in Brownsville. And so he recognized the value of it and said if the local jurisdictions will come to the table and say that we'll create, then he says, I will bring to the county a participation agreement. And so I still have need to go back to him and talk about details, but at the end of the day, once we had everything fleshed out, I sat down with Mark and I said, this is what it looks like. Let's talk about what we can do for the city. Whipple Road was introduced as a key infrastructure need, the expansion of the treatment plant, and then the commercial property. Those were the three big ticket things that Mark just mentioned. I went and visited with Mr. Garza and with Julio as their engineer to see how we could accommodate that. And the developer has agreed to carve out just under 80 lots from the overall proposed development, 15 acres essentially of land that would be used or could be used for that purpose. And we talked specifically about a couple of large flagged very well-known grocery stores, none of which we have actually approached yet because we wanted to make sure that this would work for the city too. But the costs associated with that were also layered into the plan. But at the end of the day, based on our analysis and the revenue spin-off from the reinvestment zone, we determined that if the city were willing to go slightly higher than 50/50 and for slightly longer, that this TERS in all likelihood would have no problem covering the increase in costs associated with Whipple, associated with essentially the purchase of the land that would not be developed as residential, and have money left over within the TERS pot that could probably take on a part, if not all, of a sewer plant expansion, and or mix the TERS revenues with other revenues and make that happen. So all in all, we have a means by which we can make something really phenomenally good happen for the city. We took the same concept to Indian Lake because they're smaller and I think a little more nimble. They were very excited about it, and they agreed promptly to create the TERS, and theirs has already been in place for just under 2 months. I've got plenty of work that I still have to do with them to get it fully activated, but they saw value in it. And when we talked about Whipple, as Mark mentioned, that cost, which was generated by the county engineer's office, Pete Sepulveda, also had his staff look at it and validate the numbers, came in at just under, or actually just over $9 million. I think it was $9.3 million for that project. Mr. Garza has agreed to, as part of the infrastructure costs, fully fund that as developer contribution to the mix, providing it gets reimbursed by the TERS. And as I mentioned, the numbers do work. So that would be something that would be deliverable within a relatively short period of time instead of waiting, 7 to 8 years or so. Capital costs for projects like this are growing like crazy. We've seen increase in infrastructure costs in excess of 30% in just the last 2 years. So, building it now is going to save a tremendous amount of money versus waiting to do it later. Fortunately, there is a funding source. But at the end of the day, what it means for the city is that if created, the surplus revenue that would not be put in the TERS pot would be a minimum, we're estimating, of $19 million over the life of the zone. In addition to that, having the county participate is going to bring $32 million at least into the TERS pot that you would never see coming into this into a city capital project. In addition to that, Julio and staff have estimated permit fees to the city will be just under $900,000 to the city of Los Fresnos, and preliminary and final plat fees totaling a little over $57,000. We have not modeled sales tax yet for what would develop commercially along Highway 100 and for what would be a large project like a supermarket. But that's got to, in all likelihood, rival the total amount of money that the TERS will generate over the life itself. And once we know what that is, we'll be able to model that and bring that back to the city and share with you what we expect, but it's going to be in the millions of dollars for certain. So that's essentially what we're asking for help with, and assuming that council would agree.
So I'll say a couple of things. First and foremost, Mr. Garza, it's finally good to meet you in person. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for considering Los Fresnos to make this major project happen. I know that it's extremely exciting to know the opportunity that is coming to the city of Los Fresnos. I know when I joined as a mayor, part of my goal was to bring in a lot of business into this town. I'm a banker by trade for the last 15 years. And so, once we acquired Whataburger, I know that more businesses will come, and I think that this expansion project will definitely bring in more residential properties. We'll back up our sewage by having more capacity. We'll possibly bring in a big supermarket that everybody's been asking me for the last couple of years. I think that would be a huge, huge addition, and not to mention the amount of money that project will bring into the city. And knowing that we don't have to go out and borrow funds because we're getting the funds directly from you guys. Of course, it's a longer term project, but I think at the end of the day, that Whipple Road connection to this subdivision, to the business, I think it's going to be incredible for the city of Los Fresnos. And anything that's about bringing in more businesses to the city, bringing in more residents, bringing in more money for us to use to spend on more things, to me, it's a big win. Of course, there's cost involved, but at the end of the day, I think the benefit outweighs the cost in this particular situation. And I've had time to look over the project, had discussions with our city manager on it, and I think I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to the possibility of getting started sooner than later, because the prices are increasing every single day that we wait, and the quicker we get started with those operational costs can be a lot lower than if we wait on this particular project. So I just wanted to say that because I know it's something I've been excited about, and I hope that you can set up those interactions with those supermarkets or grocery stores so that we can sit down and have a conversation with them. I'd love to be a part of that if I could as well. So just wanted to say that.
Thank you for your support, Mayor. We do believe it's going to be something phenomenally great for the city. What we're asking for is essentially for council to authorize publication of notice, which is step one toward the creation. The statute requires 7 days minimum prior to the holding of a hearing, and we'd have to coordinate with staff, city secretary on the date and the timing and all of that. But you have a form of what that notice looks like in your agenda packet. It's fairly standard stuff. It's got a map and.
Mark, you wanted to say a couple of things?
Yeah, I just wanted to, we did a TERS ourselves between us and the county. The difference between that and here is it would be the developer doing it. The TERS that we created was 100% over a life of 15 years or so. So the good thing about this, 30% would still come to the city, the general fund, to be able to continue services in that area. That's the same true for the county. The county will also realize some funding, so I think that's key, the way that this has been set up. It's over 19 million over the life that would be in addition to that, so that's good. The other piece is the county's participation. Their taxes usually doesn't come to us, but their taxes would come 70%, and the calculations are 32 million. So we always say, well, what does the county do? Well, that would be a huge something that the county's doing for Los Fresnos and participating in a big way, because they could not participate and take that $32 million and do something else with it. So that's critical for the success of this. And of course, then you throw in Indian Lake as the other partner, and then the tax that county would be giving for their piece to it. It just all works together. A lot of people, and so I wanted to be sure that you heard those numbers. Those are big numbers that people are willing to give up for the city,
Right.
for the benefit.
I know, sir, you said slightly higher and slightly longer. Longer as in how many more years?
In order for the numbers to work, we are proposing that it go for 40 years.
Instead of the,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
instead of the, how many originally?
What you see, there isn't technically a standard, but if you look at the vast majority of them that have been created, it's usually a 30-year term. What's going to drive the process here in terms of is it 40 or is it something less is going to be two things primarily. One, the timing and for issuance of debt and the interest associated with that. Right now, the rates are higher than they've been in a long time, but you see this phenomena happen typically. If we're able to hit it at a point in time where the debt capacity is high and interest is low, you shrink that time a lot. The other thing that's also going to impact it is that the model that you have in your packet that I prepared for the preliminary plan for this zone is based on a growth of about $197 million in tax base once the development would be finalized. And that's a fairly significant chunk of growth, but everybody knows that it grows over time once it's done. The way I've prepared my model, we only grow the value conservatively by 3% a year after full build out. And so you'll see that $197 million over the term go to just under actually just over $500 million in tax base expansion, almost $600 million. That's at 3%. If your appraisal district does what my appraisal district does in Harris County, it's going to be a lot more than that. And so as those values increase, what that means is that this machine is going to spin off a lot more money, which means everything gets paid back sooner and the term it gets shorter. And once everything's paid, the council at that time has the option of continuing it and adding things to it, expanding it, contracting it, but still adding things to it, or just shutting it down. And once you shut it down, everything that's going into two pots now comes into your general fund. And it's going to be like a huge capital raise. So it's good news for the city.
My question would be basically the developer. If we do approve and this goes through and processing, all the paperwork's completed, how long would it be before you actually start development out there?
¿Cuándo van a comenzar, Julio?
Well, as soon as we get an agreement together, that's as far as what we're interested in, making sure that we can work together. So yeah, we're willing to start as soon as possible. We have plans ready to go. They're at 100%. We worked the plans early, so we can get all the knickknacks out. we were able to hire Bill to represent us, and he's the guru when it comes to TERS. So, and I've worked with Bill for many years. The last 22 years, I've known Bill, former city manager in the Mission area, and we're still going through the TERS right now, and the city has gotten a lot of benefits out of it outside of the project list that it initially got. And I think it's best when you have the cooperation of the county to bring in some money that you're never gonna see. That's, out of everything, that is the best part, is getting money from other sources that we're ever gonna see. And you're able to put projects on your list that you normally cannot, or not that you cannot, but you normally don't want to use because you want to continue to take care of downtown and you want to take care of the old town of Los Fresnos as the city grows at the same time. So we're happy to be part of the growth. We're happy to be providing hopefully the new jobs that are going to come here for expansions. So with that, we're ready. If your question was, when are you ready? We're ready. So we have the plans ready. And we have a contractor on board already, as a matter of fact, so.
You know, one of the hard things is that we're running out of land, commercial land. I know we had that discussion before, is leaving commercial to come in. And so we have an opportunity here at being able to bring in a major business to the city that's going to provide a lot of jobs, and it's going to create households, and it's going to expand all that Whipple Road. I think it's just a really great idea. Yes, it's a long-term project, but at the end of the day, I think the overall benefit would be substantially greater if we want to grow this community, and I'm a big proponent for that. So you got my vote. I mean, don't have to tell me, but that's something that I'm definitely interested in.
Thank you, Mayor, and I know Julio would attest to this. One of the things that my firm brings to the table and that we would propose to use here, because we use it everywhere very successfully, is really forming a very close partnership with the city as we move forward, because the tool in and of itself is a very phenomenally effective tool. It's very valuable for cities that use it. You look at where the major growth is, and almost always you're going to have a TERS or multiple TERSs in those cities. But the real key is how you use them creatively and working with the city and looking for other opportunities for money. You know, Julio mentioned the TERS and Mission. When we started, there was a $33 million tax base. Within 8 years, we were up to $360 million, and now it's over $600 million. And you know, we were able to, by creative use of bond financing and good planning, coordination with the city, we were able to put together plans for the Anzalduas Highway using TERS money to engineer it, so we had shovel-ready plans. And when all of a sudden 14 or 15 smaller communities weren't ready to use MPO money, bam, $80 million came to the city, and because we were in a ready position. And it's that kind of thing, when you use this tool effectively, you'd be surprised how much benefit you can bring that wasn't even contemplated when you created it. And it's those kinds of things that we hope to bring to the table as this process unfolds, so that we can shorten it even more and keep it from lasting the 40 years that we need, at least on paper, to make it work. So that's it, Mayor. Unless there's any other questions, that's all I've got.
I have a question for you. I'm just wondering,
Yes, sir.
I know I looked over the lots for this subdivision. Have you all made an estimate, or Mark, do you have an estimate of the population once it's completed, as far as in the city?
I did, I don't have it with me. I have it in a file, but it was 800 homes.
Yeah,
so
800 homes times 3.
3.6, I think, is our average household today. So 2,400 to 33,000, somewhere along in there.
About 3,000 people.
Well, I know I always keep getting asked, is there more space available in Los Fresnos, more housing, more land being developed? Because a lot of people do want to move into Los Fresnos for many reasons, right? It's a great city to live in, a great school district, and So I know this would definitely help on that end of getting people to move not just into our area, but actually be part of the city now, which is what I'm excited about, because we're gonna get them within a city limit now. But so I do thank you for all the work that you have done, giving up those 15 acres. It may not have been easy, right? I know it took a lot of discussions to be able to do that. I do appreciate, for everybody involved, being able to do that and taking that into our consideration, because I know that's something we've been heavily looking forward to because of Highway 100 and it being developed as a residential area 40, 50 years ago. We are limited on that commercial real estate. So those 15 acres for me, and the fact that the county itself is willing to help out as well is more than enough for me to be able to want to be out here and support it. Thank you very much, guys.
Council, any other questions, or is there a motion to be made? I'll make a motion that we approve it, and let's get it started. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Let's move on here. Acknowledgement of city managers' reports. Mark, any updates on any reporting?
I was going to update Highway 100, but y'all see where we're at. They're not done. They're going to pave the center part and start working on the outside, which is good because outside is just failing miserably. I have talked to them about the areas that have failed already. There's about 4 of them. And they say they're going to, once they get the outside area done, they will cut those out and go to the base and fix those. So, but besides that, unless y'all have questions,
Just the potholes, Mark. There's a bunch of potholes out there by the railroad tracks on the side, and get a lot of people sending messages about their tire almost getting messed up. And I know it's not in our control,
on
but
100.
yeah, on 100 by the railroad tracks, but on the corners. And it's pretty ugly there. And the way they're putting that stuff to cover it, it's just really, it's like not a good job. So
Hopefully by the end of the week, they'll switch the traffic.
I know we've had rain, so I know that, that hasn't helped. But yeah, I get a lot of comments about that.
Yes. They are going to put another inch and a half blacktop on top of what's there
Yes,
to
once,
prevent that drainage.
yes, once they finish the inside, they'll go work on the outside. They finish that, they'll do the spot repairs they need to do, and then they'll overlay the whole thing with another 1.5 inch, 2 inch asphalt. Where there's water that seems like it doesn't drain right, they say it'll drain. They said they've gone back to their elevations and it'll drain fine once they get that top layer on. And I said, I'll trust you, but I'm concerned. They usually do wait to do that at the end, and that way they have a good level layer all the way across.
So I know, mentioned on Part E, Whipple Road, it's on, we've pretty much laid it out for TxDOT. They haven't responded yet. Is there any reason why they wouldn't? Is it something very difficult?
No, it's just funding, and Pete Sepulveda is working with them, trying to get money. He mentioned they had a shovel-ready project, and other projects funding is, if they're not ready, well, then it becomes available. So we're real close to having a shovel-ready project for Whipple Road. In other words, the engineering's done. We just need to get a contractor. So that's what he's working on to try to secure the rest of the funding for it, for the construction part.
Mark, on the Veterans Memorial, any update or where we stand with that? We looked at how it was going to be laid out.
bids are due the last week of May. So hopefully, we have some good, hungry contractors that bid and give us a good,
Because that sidewalk looks really nice, and I can just imagine how it's gonna look, putting that memorial and people walking up and down there in the front. I think it'll give it a nice look.
Any plans to spray for mosquitoes anytime soon?
Oh, yeah, mosquito.
I hadn't thought about it today, but I'm sure Carlos has. Yeah, we'll do that. Although we're supposed to get another,
Another rain all
Storm
week,
today.
so.
Friday,
Tonight?
We'll have to wait till-
Monday.
we'll have to wait till that goes, because otherwise it's just a waste.
Any other questions about the reports, projects, anything on this? If not, if there's a motion to be made?
I'll make a motion to approve the acknowledgement of city manager's report.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Fernandez,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Vincent. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. All those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Moving on to the acknowledgement of the department head reports. There's a total of 6 reports. Is there any report that any of the council would like to discuss? If not, if there's a motion to be made.
I'll make a motion, Mayor, to accept the reports from the directors from the different public works, police department, municipal court, library, fire marshals, and financial report.
I'll second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Macias and seconded by Commissioner Fernandez for acknowledgement of department head reports. With that said, all those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. The time is now 6:58. We'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you and have a good evening.